same old content? Tune in to Wells Radio 89.3 FM, the only radio other radio stations listen to.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio and your state's number one family radio station. We're broadcasting live from Wells Broadcasting House along Alaafin Avenue, Oluyole, Estate Ibadan, the capital of your state. From our studio right now, it is 6:34 a.m. Today, Friday, the 24th day in the month of April 2026. We give God all the praise for the gift of life and of course for the favor we have received again to be here and of course for you to be able to listen to us again this beautiful Friday morning. How are you doing? I hope you're well and your family is doing great, and I pray that today will definitely favor all of us roundabout. Amen. This is the program Perspectives Unlimited, where we take you beyond the news to help you understand stories making the rounds in our nation, Nigeria, across major dailies. And right after serving you the headlines, those that you need to read and know, our analysts will come in with details and, of course, analysis to help you understand them better. While we open the phone lines for you to share your own thoughts and perspectives, as there are two sides to every story. And, of course, there's several views to it, and would like to have your own view to all of the stories we will be looking at on the program this morning. My name is Ayo Emmanuel-Ojo. This morning on the program, I have The Punch, the Nigerian Tribune, and of course, the Vanguard newspaper, all published today, Friday, 24th of April, 2026. Now let's begin with the Punch newspaper for today. At the top of the daily there on page 19, Atiku, economists raise concern over Tinubu's $516 million loan request. Major story on page 2, automatic ticket. Tinubu leaves lawmakers' fate in Gov's hands. There are a few riders to the story. The Force says presidents reject APC senators' automatic ticket request at Villa meeting. Ruling party Govs get presidency's nod to spearhead state primaries. Ruling party shift presidential Gov primaries to May 21st, 2023. On page 3 of the Punch, wiretapping. El-Rufai pleads not guilty, faces fresh charges. And on page 19, federal government borrows 2.69 trillion naira from bond market in 3 months on page 19. And of course, on page 5, court remand 4 suspect over Plateau mass killings. Moving on from the Nigerian Tribune, let's move from the Punch. We'll move on now to the Nigerian Tribune. On page 6, 2027, rumblings in APC over aborted deal with lawmakers. Tinubu wades in, meet Govs. DSS arraigns El-Rufai for allegedly intercepting NSA's phone conversation. Tinubu seeks Senate approval for $516 million loan to finance Sokoto Badagry Superhighway. Request must be thoroughly scrutinized, says Atiku on page 3. NADDC, AFDB seek cooperation on development of Nigeria's e-mobility ecosystem. Troops foil attack in Yobe kill 24 terrorists on page 22. On page 30, Southern traditional rulers meet in Port Harcourt. Tinubu deserves re-election for his vision, says Fubara. On page 18, APC shift presidential governorship primaries. It's also on the same page, on page 18. And finally, on that daily, which is a Tribune, on page 12, Dangote refinery export 1.16 billion litres of aviation fuel to Europe, supplies 95% of Nigeria's Jet A1. Now we finally land on the Vanguard on page 19. CBN increases ATM card insurance by 50% to 1,500. The question is why that increase? That's the big question there. All right, Glitz Glamour has Vanguard awardees step fourth day. Event is live on major national television. On page 5, Tinubu writes Senate 6 approval to borrow fresh $516 million loan. Stop reckless borrowing. Atiku tackles Tinubu. On page 7, 20 killed in fresh Borno Plateau attacks. APC shift Gov's presidential primaries to May 21st and 23rd, says contest open to all. And That's all we can take this morning on the front page of the dailies. We want to especially thank you for joining us on the program this morning, Perspectives Unlimited. Turn on the volume of the radio and let's do this together, keeping ourselves abreast of all that is happening in our dear nation, Nigeria. In a moment from now, we will bring in our analysts and, of course, dive straight into the conversation. But remember, you can watch us live on Facebook, facebook.com/Wells Radio 893 FM fan page. There, you can drop your comment for us live on our Facebook page to share your own thoughts and views on stories making the round in our nation for today. Don't go away. We will be right back.
This is a very, very good day. And Taiwo, I thank you for accepting to serve your country, your motherland. You have rewritten the entire tax policy of this country, that it was obsolete, archaic, and fundamentally against every progressive thinker. You are just a very dedicated and highly determined individual. It didn't take much for me to decide where you fit and where you need to be to further help the country. It is a very challenging job to look at the fiscal policy and responsibility that comes with it at the time that economic stability is being experienced, but without exponential growth. It is always very difficult, but you feed the bill. Thank you. I congratulate you. I congratulate your wife for being able to stand our challenge of time management and absence, for a long hour. This is additional responsibility, and I hope you continue to encourage him and support him adequately. Thank you very, very much.
I think they say the reward for doing a good job is more work. And I think it's always a privilege to have the opportunity to serve your country, especially at the highest level. But it's even more fascinating at this critical juncture for our country. So I do not take the trust for granted. So I'm grateful to Mr. President, but also very grateful to the generality of the Nigerian people, particularly stakeholders that have been very supportive of the work we've done to date. But they say reforms are only as good as the paper on which they are written. What is really important is the diligent execution. And this is part of it, to move from policy formulation to execution. So we're very excited and looking forward to the challenges ahead. Yeah, I think if you give your best at every point in time, even when it's not good enough, you won't have any regrets. And so one thing that I can promise Mr. President and the Nigerian people is that I'll give my very best at every point in time. And I'm confident in the Ministry of Finance, with the complement of the team and the leadership working together. I don't think there's anything that will be beyond us to be able to surmount. There are challenges, no doubt, but so are the opportunities that are bound for our country. Yeah, so the priorities are the priorities of the government, the priorities for our country, because the Ministry of Finance will not operate in isolation. And those issues are mostly around revenue mobilization, so you can have enough revenue to meet the increasing demands of the public on the treasury, both at the federal level as well as sub-national. And then there's also the issue around spending efficiency and priority, because for every 1 naira that we earn, how can we optimize the value we get from it to meet the needs of our people? And of course, issues around debt management and fiscal sustainability is also important. Now, how all of these connect effectively and link up to other policies of government from, monetary policy to trade and other policies as well across subnational and also within the context of the international community, because we don't live in isolation and we know what's happening now with geopolitics and crisis. Is actually about how do you think proactively and say, how do we position Nigeria to best manage challenges and headwinds while optimizing the values and the opportunities that are there both within Nigeria and globally for our country?
Let me first of all thank Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for this appointment, for considering one of the best in the now, not just in Ondo State, but in Nigeria, that has just been appointed as Minister of State for Finance. He's not new, really, to the tax ahead, because having led about 100 Nigerians to review the fiscal and tax regime of this nation, which has been enacted into law at this time, and for him to have been appointed for the execution of the same reform, I think Mr. President have done the right thing. So we want to thank him for considering this young man, not because he's from Ondo State, but because he merits the job and he deserved to be appointed. So, but we thank Mr. President because it's still his prerogative. He's not the only one in Nigeria that can do this job, but for considering us in Ondo State. Now we have 3 substantive ministers. Thanks to Mr. President.
Right, thank you once again for joining us on the program this morning. 89.3 FM, Wells Radio, your preferred wholesome radio, and your state's #1 family radio station. Broadcasting live from Wells Broadcasting House along Alaafin Avenue, Oluyole State, Ibadan, the capital of your state. Watch us live on Facebook, Wells Radio 893 FM fan page, and stream us live on all our streaming platforms on Radio Garden, Wells Radio 89.3 FM, and also on our website, www.wellsradio893.com. Mr. Olale Konsoni joins me in the studio this morning to help us make sense of all of the stories time would permit us to review. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I am doing very well. How about you, sir?
Well, we thank God. And how has your week been?
Oh, God has been good.
We thank the Lord. All right, let's get to the 2 big, maybe the 2 biggest stories, maybe or maybe not. As in Nigeria, there are just too many stories happening at the same time. But first of all would be the the nomination of Taiwo Oyedele, and of course his installation as an appointment rather as the Honorable Minister of Finance in Nigeria, from being of course, if you have been following stories in Nigeria, Taiwo Oyedele is not new to the press. His name is not new to the news. And right now we're going to have more of Taiwo Oyedele than ever before. In the last 1 year, Taiwo Oyedele here, Taiwo Oyedele there. Of course, being the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, and of course, being the Minister of State for Finance, just if that's up to a month. Mm-hmm. That's if it's
3
up
weeks.
to 3 weeks, right? The kind of appointment I like. Right? And then being the Honorable Minister of Finance right now. But before we get to Taiwo Oyedele, of course, when it comes to Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun's name somewhat fits that appropriately, especially for broadcasters like myself and journalists. That name just kind of fits into that office, right? And initially, some factions or some sections of this of stories coming in says he was sacked by the presidency, and the other one from the presidency then says no, he wasn't sacked. He had to step aside for health related reasons. But I'd like us to connect the caliber and the standing of Taiwo Wale Edun, his academic qualifications, is grandstanding and his grandstanding and experience when it comes to economics, when it comes to finance, as it concerns a third world nation like Nigeria, and of course a tax master like Taiwo Oyedele, who, of course, his resume says has always been much more active, if not all of his professional life, in anything that has to do with taxation. And no doubt his selection for being the chairman of the policy and tax reforms in Nigeria, and then bringing such a man to be the minister of finance in Nigeria. Some quarter says that we might be getting more taxation, as if a tax man is your minister of finance, what then do you expect? Let's compare and contrast Taiwo Oyedele and Wale Edo.
Thank you very much. The two, in all seriousness, the two of them are actually two sides of a coin. In my personal opinion, they are both failures who should not be near such a very, very sensitive and significant office. Let's look at the profile of Wale Edo. Who exactly is Wale Edo? For me, he's someone who, until very recently, was perennially attached to the apron of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He was always anywhere you found Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But let's look at the pedigree of this particular guy. I mean, there's nothing random about. Let's look at the ministry where he was Alpha and Omega until just 2 days ago. We are talking about the ministry that oversees the strength of the Naira. We are talking about the ministry that oversees interest rate. We are talking about the ministry that oversees rate of inflation. We are talking about the ministry that oversees import duty tariff. I mean, the truth of the matter, if we want to be very, very realistic, is that this guy failed beyond measure. When he became Minister of Finance, the dollar was going for less than 500. Now it's 1,350. I mean, is that a plus or a minus? When he became Minister of Finance, inflation rate was nowhere what it is today. When he became Minister of Finance, the rate of interest was nowhere where it is today. When he became Minister of Finance, the import duty tariff was far, 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 far lower than what it is today. This is a guy who, under his watch, all these indexes fell by close to 400%. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. His inefficiency is the reason why the country's economy is where it is. I should tell you that when he became the Minister of Finance, Nigeria was the largest economy on the African continent. Today, it's struggling to hold the fourth position. So what are we talking about? He has failed. For the other guy, in all seriousness, I see a bigger failure in Taiwo Oyedele than Wale Edo. And the reasons are not far-fetched. This is a tax man, not a finance expert. I mean, there is a very big difference between finance and taxation. The only thing that concerns the tax man is how he's going to bring in more money into the pocket of the government, essentially by swindling the people. I mean, I used the word swindling for a reason. I mean, for people who can see us, I'm actually using my hand to put that word in quotes. The reason is that, paying taxes is not the biggest problem. It becomes an issue when you pay taxes and there is nothing on the ground to justify why you are paying taxes. And that is what exactly this guy has been talking about. For 2 years now, he has told us all sorts of nasty things. We are going to become tax collectors. These are the words of Taiwo Oyedele. Prostitutes are going to start paying taxes. Kidnappers and drug lords are going to... I mean, what sort of nonsense is that? That is not what we should be talking about. If your focus is not essentially on just collecting money and collecting. I mean, you need to be logical enough to know that you need to have a structured economy before you can say, okay, let's have this tax system. But that is not your concern. It's just how to bring money into the pocket of the government. No, that is not the person you use as your finance minister. That's on one side. On the other side, he's a liar. Because just last weekend, he came out openly to say that there are obvious flaws in the new tax regime. tax administration that we have in the country. Only for him to wake up the following morning to say he never said that, when in reality there are videos everywhere where he said that, oh, there are flaws. And if you look at the whole world, the number one tax consulting firm is the firm called KPMG. They had to come out openly to say, guy, what you wrote in this thing is nonsense. I'm talking about the tax nonsense that you drafted for the country. It's not even easy to understand. There are a lot of contradictions. This is not making sense. This is going to drive Nigeria into the ground. But guess what? Grandstanding. He never budged. He never moved an inch. If there are conflicting issues and the KPMG is saying one thing and Taiwo Edele is saying something else, everyone knows too well that I will go with KPMG, not Taiwo Edele. So for me, Nigerians need to, well, I know that there is no rest anymore. It's just the spine that is keeping Nigerians moving, but you need to tighten your belt because it's going to get harder.
Let's look at execution now. Of course, from being the chairman of that committee, putting that tax law in place, and now being the Minister of Finance. What should Nigerians expect? Now, I mean, being the chairman of such a committee, and he said something in the voice we played earlier, it's a different thing to be able to say you are putting this together. It's another thing to be at the forefront of the execution. You know, do you think that Taiwo Oyedele's policies would bite back at him on the field of execution?
It's not going to bite back at him. Rather, it's going to bite back at Nigerians, because he has come up with what are now laws, even if we want to term them as illegal, because what he presented before the National Assembly was not what the National Assembly effected, but, you know, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they are not implementing what the National Assembly approved. Rather, they are implementing their own version of it. What is going to become difficult is life for Nigerians, because this guy will want to. The president who appointed him on the back of what he did in that tax reform, whatever. Yeah. That the president now knows that with this guy in charge, there will be a lot of money in the coffers of the government. So that is exactly.
You think that's the basis of this appointment?
That is exactly why Bola Ahmed Tinubu appointed him. If you could have come up with this, then I need to put you in a position where you'll be able to implement this and bring all of these goodies, quote and unquote, into the coffers of the government. So he is going to go out of his way to make sure that he drives all of that revenue into the pocket of the government. And who is going to suffer for that? My dear brother, you and I.
All right. Before we take a break, I mean, we might stop halfway into this. It is not news anymore that Chief Adebayo Adelabu, now the former Minister of Power, has resigned office, taking effect from the end of April. That's the end of this month. His resignation on Wednesday, stepping down from his position in the Federal Executive Council, signaling his plans to contest the Oyo State governorship election. Mr. Adelabu's resignation contained in a letter, 22nd of April, an address to the president. And of course, yesterday, videos making the rounds also cited him somewhere along Jericho axis in Ibadan, controlling traffic. Maybe not intentionally controlling traffic. The area seemed congested, though, and I'm just shocked that
do you unconsciously control traffic?
I mean, there are conscious ways of controlling traffic, just like the traffic man on the road. That's his job, but it didn't seem like he was made to be there, and maybe things just got out of hand and he wanted to control. But that's not even the point. Well, maybe one of the points is grand entrance into the city. And I mean, he sat on the arm of the door of the car. And for a lot of people, the whole thing didn't just look good. Seeing a minister, still a minister as of today, not a former minister yet, up until the end of May, do we begin to call him a former minister, seated in that particular manner. And a lot of people describe, come on, this is not looking good. But as we approach the election season, we've seen it in time past where former governors would sit with people and eat and then wear clothes with people. We saw Adebayo Adelabu yesterday controlling traffic. How do we describe that as we approach the coming election? And of course, the party primary of the APC is also happening next month, has been shifted to, I think, the 21st of May, thereabout, for the primaries of the party. Who will be the flag bearer of that political party? Sharafaddin Ali or Adebayo Adela? But we'll look at that conversation and more when we come back right after the break on the program this morning. To stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Let me guess, you enjoy talking. You always have something to say. And somehow, people actually enjoy listening to you. So why are you not on radio yet? What are you waiting for? Wells Radio Media Academy is giving you the perfect opportunity to become a certified broadcaster in just 6 weeks. You'll get hands-on studio experience, learn from industry professionals, and understand what it takes to actually own the mic. From radio presentation to news writing to public speaking and social media, everything you need all in one place. Admission is in progress right now as resumption is on the 18th of May 2026. Admission form is available for just 5,000 naira only. This is not one of those maybe someday opportunities. This is now. Don't just sit back and listen to other people shine. Step up and let your voice be heard. For further inquiries, call 0706 840 7359 or 0803 509 3394. Begin your journey to becoming a certified broadcaster today.
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The general public is hereby advised to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Verify the licensing status of such schemes on this website: www.cbn.gov.ng, www.nicom.gov.ng, www.pencom.gov.ng, www.sec.gov.ng, www.fsrcc.gov.ng. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call CBN 0817-665-7060, 0707-338-4828, SEC 0209-462-1168. Announcer, FSRCC.
Are you hungry for something delicious? Food that feels like home but tastes like pure luxury? Then welcome to Honeydew Restaurant, where every meal is made to make you smile. From our smoky jollof to rich ofada sauce to a variety of delicious soups like egusi, eforiro, and more, paired with your favorite proteins and hot, freshly made swallows, all made for you to enjoy. We also handle bulk orders in liters, fresh and ready whenever you need it, with delivery to your doorstep. At Honeydew, it's not just the food, it's the feel. With our beautiful ambience, perfect for your romantic dates, family outings, or your quiet, relaxing evening escape. Join us every last Friday of the month at 7 p.m. for karaoke night with Jayola and enjoy music, games, food, drinks, and free mocktails and cocktails as you sing your hearts out. Visit us at Plot 42, Block 8, Alaafi Avenue, beside Wells Radio, Oluyole Estate, Ibadan. For your doorstep delivery or inquiries, call or WhatsApp 0814-691-6635, 0814-691-6635. Honeydew Restaurant, where every meal is made to make you smile.
Family is not defined by blood, events, headlines, or frequencies. It's our shuffled feet in the busy streets, the levity of the birds upon the brown rooftops, indigenous, nuclear. The blue sky coming to greet us on a sunless morning, safe, clean, wholesome, somewhere between truth and fiction. Wells Radio 89.3 FM Oluyole Estate, a gallery built from mere words of culture, heritage, music, brush strokes visible on an artwork, the rhythm of repetition. Family is not defined by blood, it is togetherness, heirlooms in diaspora, with open arms to embrace through thick and thin. This home, your family, this radio is your radio. My name is Jesse Joba Isaac. I will keep listening to Wells Radio 89.3 FM.
Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio.
Welcome back to the program. Let's dive back into the conversation. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Perspectives Unlimited on Wells Radio 89.3 FM. The former minister, well, still Minister of Power, but to become the former minister at the end of this month, Adebayo Adelabo arrives Oyo, direct traffic in Ibadan. That headline I found on the Punch this morning. Let's talk about the political character or the character of politicians as we've seen over time. And one would expect that strategy would have been out of place by now, as it has been highly popularized on social media, whether the images are true or not true. Graphic designers would, make all kinds of, representation of politicians as election approach. And one would expect that no politician will follow that route again. But yesterday, whether consciously or unconsciously, the Honorable Minister, was cited directing traffic somewhere around the Magazine Road in Jericho yesterday. Let's get your thoughts in on that.
Thank you very much, Chief. The truth of the matter is that I don't know who advised him to resign, but I won't want to determine his fate going into the future because that belongs to God. All I can say is that I wish him well. As regards directing traffic, which he was, captured on video doing yesterday, the question is, did he do that last week? Did he do it week before last week? He did not. He has resigned to contest for the office of the governor of Ayo State, and all of a sudden he's a traffic warden. And that would be downcast. But, we live in a country where Nigerians could be very, very funny. You would be livid at the idea of a thing, and that same thing is the reason why some people would say, they like us, they love us, they are even associating with us, when in reality this particular character never knew you existed until maybe he decided to say, let me gun for this office. That, in my opinion, is a very good way to mislead, to act like you care about the people, when in reality nothing on the ground really proves that you care about the people. That's a hoax, that's a ruse, in my opinion.
All right, that's with. So I said something about the APC now.
Yes.
Maybe I say let me get your prediction.
Thank you. As regards
this is today is 24th of May.
4th of May.
Well, the primaries just anytime. The other day, Senator Sharafaddin Ali.
Yes.
I'm not sure whether to call him Oba Sharafaddin Ali.
Right. That's the contestable.
That's the contestable. Right?
For the Oyo State government, he is Oba Sharafaddin Ali. For himself, he is Senator Sharafaddin Ali. So what I'm trying to say here is this: whoever between the two is able to convince the president is the guy who's going to fly the ticket of the party. It's like that. The president has never hidden his love for Adelabu. I have never heard of it in Nigeria where you will be resigning and you will not be resigning on that particular day you are tendering the resignation letter, that instead you are resigning a week after. It has never happened. That the president is even accepting that tells you a lot about the relationship that exists between the two of them. For Senator Sharafaddin Ali, he enjoys what Adelabu enjoys with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with his own godfather, the current monarch. From what I understand, it was the monarch who sold the idea of Sharafaddin Ali to the president, and the president actually bought the idea. But I believe the outgoing minister has found a way back into the heart of the president. So it's who stays in the heart of the president till the day of primary that becomes the candidate. How Adelabu wants to do that, I don't know. How Sharafaddin Ali wants to do that, I know. He's going to hide behind the back of the monarch. So it's now for the president to say, do I need a third party loyalist or I need a direct loyalist? The monarch of Ibadan is a very, very strong confidant of the president. So it's now left for the president to say if he is going to be relying on his friend's boy or he wants to rely on his own personal boy. I don't know whether you get the logic. That is what is going to make the difference eventually.
All right.
But if going by what happened yesterday and going by the terms of resignation that the president has accepted in the hands of Adelabu, as of yesterday, a day is like a lifetime in politics. But as of yesterday, I had everything to believe that should the primaries were to be held yesterday, it would have been Adelabu.
All right, let's keep our fingers crossed and wait for the exact primaries in the state. Let's talk about El-Rufai wiretapping. El-Rufai pleads not guilty, faces fresh charges. The federal government on Thursday expanded the criminal case against the former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, introducing fresh allegations bordering on interference with critical national infrastructure and unauthorized access to classified information. The new counts are contained in the further amendment 5-count charge filed against him on the 13th of April before the Federal High Court in Abuja. At his arraignment on Thursday before Justice Joyce Abdulmalik, El-Rufai, however, pleaded not guilty to all counts after the court granted the prosecution request to substitute the initial charge. The DSS, through its counsel, Oluwole Aladedoye SAN, told the court that the amended charge significantly revised the allegation against the former governor, urging the court to adopt the new process. If you remember, on a national television where the former governor of the state said something about wiretapping the conversation of the NSA, but now he's pleading not guilty for that case in court. What's the future? I'm very curious, to be honest. It has to be step after step, but I'm still very curious at the final bus stop of this particular issue going on right there. Let me get your thoughts.
Thank you very much. It's going to be a very long and windy road for Nasir El-Rufai. I don't believe that.
Let's take this call very quickly. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Your name and where you are calling us from?
This is Aderonke from Houston.
Good morning, Aderonke. Let's have your perspective.
Yeah. Concerning the new minister of finance, if that is what will make our economy to be stable, so be it. I applaud the presidency for that. If is going to correct the economy and everything will be back on track. So I support him. And as for Adelabu, he has come back to Oyo State yesterday, so we should join the race. So we, the people of Oyo State, we are waiting for him.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aderonke, for your thought.
What exactly are we talking?
Yes, so we're talking about El-Rufai.
Thank you.
Yes,
it's going
El-Rufai.
to be a long and windy road for him. I am not particularly sure that the present administration is interested in prosecuting El-Rufai. I just believe they want to keep him somewhere because he talks too much. In their opinion, he talks too much. And
why do you think the present administration is not interested in prosecuting him?
If they are,
what does he hold for the 2027 election?
He holds a lot of influence for the opposition party. He is a stakeholder within the ADC camp, and he has a cult-like followership in the north. Okay.
Let's take this. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Chief Way.
Good morning, Benjamin Mario.
Thank you
for calling.
This is Benjamin Mario calling from Apata.
You're welcome.
Yes, I think the federal government are not having much to do with El-Rufai. They are just trying to utilize him, nurture him, so that they will delay him until the 2027 election is over. I'm telling you, they can't do anything to El-Rufai. Don't be surprised that in the coming days or coming months, they might still even find out some allegations against him again, just to ensure that he has a bump of allegations against him. But that doesn't mean it's going to deter him. That doesn't mean that that's going to they are going to imprison him or what. But they wanted to keep him so that he will not have the wherewithal to contend with Mr. President come 2027 election. So there is nothing much about that. And lastly, about the issue of Adedibu, I think Sarafa Diali, he made home his ambition. That I think that was last week, and Adelabu came on yesterday. And don't be surprised that Justin Polarity is going to come up maybe sometimes later in the next few weeks, a few days, to show his interest again. that means we are going to have 3 contenders in APC. But that is the good of democracy. But the good question I want to ask is that where is our position in the State? I saw the billboard of the current speaker yesterday, and I was like, wow, but we still want more position. But we can still be praying that there will be peace in the State and peace in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Benga, for your conversation. Where is your position in Oyo State? Well, let's stay with El-Rufai.
Yes. In my understanding of Nigeria, this is the first time the ICPC will be prosecuting someone at the Federal High Court and at the State High Court simultaneously. I don't get it. Why not, dust your paper, put everything in one envelope and take it to one certain court? Which shows that it's about politics and not about justice. And another thing is that this guy said something about thallium sulfate, that it is a very, very poisonous substance that the government has imported from Poland, even said the country where they brought it in from. And nobody is saying anything about that. I am particularly worried that such an allegation was made and the government is not doing much to refute that claim. Rather, it's about keeping the guy that made the allegation quiet. I mean, that speaks volumes, and that leaves me kind of unsettled because I don't want to be a victim of poisoning. We are no longer in the Abacha years where prominent opposition people were just, dropping dead left, right, and center. But, in a so-called democracy, the government has been accused of importing something that can be used to do mass killing, to conduct mass killing. But for reasons I cannot understand, the government is not taking that very, very seriously. That's suspicious. That is suspicious. And like I said, El-Rufai has a lot of followership in the northern part of the country. And the standing of this current administration is terrible enough. It's not okay at all. They are not pleased with the guy. And that's because of one of the things that El-Rufai was doing. He was always opening the eyes of the average northern folk against what's currently happening, and they didn't like that. And that is one of the reasons why he is where he is today. If he is not very careful, he may be there till after election day come 2027.
All right, let's talk about loans. Atiku economists raise concern over Tinubu's $516 million loan request. The former Vice President, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and economists have raised concern over President Bola Tinubu's request for Senate approval of $516 million external loan to fund sections of the Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway. The President had written in the Senate seeking approval of that external loan to finance part of the 1,000-kilometer highway project, a flagship infrastructure initiative under his administration. The request addressed to the President of the Senate was read during plenary on Thursday. Atiku, in a statement signed by Special Assistant on Public Communication, Frank Shwahibu, acknowledged the importance of the project, but warned against raising debt level and weak transparency in borrowing decision. The new request for that loan, which the President had written to the Senate and seeking approval for $516 million to fund sections of the Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway, a 1,000-kilometer highway project, which has been tagged a flagship infrastructure. Let's look at that. Atiku Abubakar is reacting to the different headlines with different issues. He said, at a time when Nigeria is already groaning under the weight of unsustainable debt, the result is yet another foreign loan without transparent terms, clear cost-benefit analysis, and a credible repayment framework raises profound questions about prudence and accountability. Your thought?
Thank you very much. I am not pleased with the current president. Not by any means, no standard. The most annoying part of it is that you are putting our name in debt simply because you want to satisfy your partner in daring. The contractor for the job is a guy called Gilbert Chagori, who owns iTech. This government lays claim to 2 flagship projects, Lagos Calabar, Sokoto Lagos. Yeah. And the 2 of them are being constructed by the same guy, who appears to be a Lebanese Nigerian. If you see him face to face, he doesn't even look like us. And that's the guy we are sinking the country into debt for. Is it just for Gilbert Chagori? I would say no. I would say for Bola Ahmed Tinubu too, because the two of them have joint business interests, and I want to believe that this is part of their interests. So it's immoral for you to sink the country into debt simply because you want to shine. It's not just making sense. That's on one side. On the other side, in all seriousness, Nigeria may collapse as a result of debt. It's too much. It is too much. Right? Way too much. 2-3 weeks ago, it was $6.5 billion that was sent. A request for $6.5 billion loan that was sent to the National Assembly, which the National Assembly approved within 3.5 hours. That's legendary. I've never heard of something like that before. That's that. This week alone, there is 750 billion naira treasury bill. There is 700 billion naira bond. There is, in fact, just yesterday I learned that they did open market operations on the 21st of April, where they borrowed almost 2 trillion. Let's now, put a total figure to that. 2 trillion OMO. Between treasury bill and, bond, that's another 1.45 trillion. That's, let's say, 3.5 trillion. Then this, if you convert this to naira, we're having around 4.2 trillion naira in just 1 week. 4.2 trillion naira in just 1 week. How exactly is that going to be sustainable at the end of the day? That's $3 billion in a week. What's happen? What's up? And I need to make it very clear that the one done 3 weeks ago is totally different from what we are having on the ground right now. It's not that, but they got approval for it. It's like you guys are repeating the same story. No, that's a different case. Totally different from what we are talking about. So if you had $3 billion from that to 6.5, we're talking about $9.5 billion in just 1 month. No, there is no way Nigeria is not going to collapse at the end of the day if we go by this trajectory.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning to you.
Yes, Ruth calling from Alakia.
Thank you, Ruth.
Yes, sir. As regards the Nigeria debt, it's so disappointing that the government keeps borrowing just to spend without fixing the root causes. Because since taking office, it has been from one loan to another, and nothing to even show for it. I saw President Tinubu said after the removal of subsidy, we won't be borrowing again. So why are they still borrowing? What are these money being used for? Because I hardly seen the issue part. Because we keep complaining every day on power sector, on education, on health. Because these people keep doing on strike. So why are they not using it to fix the problem we have on ground? So it's so obvious they just keep sharing it among themselves. Yes, because if truly they are not sharing that, we will be feeling the impact. I just urge the government, they should please do the needful. So we are tired of this. What we want from them is change. Not all this now. I just hope they do the needful. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you so much for your contribution. Let's take comments on Facebook. Adedamola Okunlola, beautiful morning to you in the studio. It is evident that this administration is only concerned about how to make themselves rich instead of making life easy for the average Nigerian. Why is the federal government borrowing again? I hope this administration will not incur debt for innocent Nigerians with the way they keep borrowing. Sulaiman Sharif says, good morning and happy Friday. The request of loan by Mr. President is not only alarming, but emblematic of an administration that has made reckless borrowing of its default economic policy with little regard for sustainability, accountability, and the well-being of future generations. The most successful project this APC administration has embarked upon is borrowing. Adewumi Kazim Adekas, good morning and well done. Adekunle Ojo Christiana, good morning to you. Thank you so much.
I totally agree with that. The only area where this government scores and he won is the area of borrowing. And apart from borrowing, let's be realistic here. We're talking about 1,000 kilometers between Sokoto and Lagos, and in just one tranche, you are talking about $516.3 million if you want to be realistic, if you really, really want to be genuine, that money is going to take you more than halfway, talking about 5 lanes on the right side and 5 lanes on the left side. But guess what? They're not even telling us how many kilometers they want to use that for. And, some people
for the Sokoto Badagry, they mentioned 1,000 kilometers.
Yes. Yeah. That $516 million is enough for you to have over 500 kilometers, 5 lanes on the right, 5 lanes on the left, making 10 lanes in total. And you'll be spending around $500 million for that. But you're not even telling us the number of kilometers they want to fix with this particular amount of money. Some people may say, but maybe it's the total stretch. Going by what they have been doing in Lagos, without mentioning words, they must have sunk at least in the minimum, directly in the name of borrowing, over 7 trillion into Lagos Calabar. And they are still in Lagos.
And they are still in Lagos.
They are still in Lagos. That tells you a lot.
And it's still a stretch.
It's just 770 kilometers. Yeah. Guess what, sir? $1 billion is more than enough to fix that project. $1 billion.
That's from Lagos to Calabar.
Yes, is more than enough to fix that project. I made an analysis here. In Ethiopia, they are having a standard 5 lanes here, 5 lanes there road in Ethiopia. And it's just around $250,000 per kilometer. $1 million gives you 4 kilometers. 5 lanes on the right, 5 lanes on the left. But here, we are spending 7 Russ, at the vex.
All right, more stories here, but time will not permit us to look at that. More stories that we have on our table. Automatic ticket, Tinubu leaves lawmakers' fate in governor's hands. You want to comment on this very quickly?
Yes, it's now a very rough time for National Assembly members. When all of them were decamping to the APC, they were decamping on the back of the promise the president made that it would be automatic tickets for all of them. So that was why people rushed to the APC. Now the president has said he will not be giving them that you go and square with their governors, so they want to go back to the National Assembly, and I learned that they are hungry. Governors met with the president yesterday on the platform of the APC. The president was scheming something, but they were also up to the game. Usually, it's the presidential primary that wraps up the primary process. But the president drafted something where the presidential primary would be the first. It would have been his own fate would have been secured. Then at the point of securing that of the governors, it would then ask, okay, this is the guy who's going to fly ticket of the party, this is not the guy. And that would rob a lot of first-time governors the opportunity to go for second, and they said, no, sir. Let us have our own before your own. You are not contesting against anybody. You don't have anything to fear. We are contesting against people. Let us settle our own case before you come to your own case, so that we know how to settle your own case. And the president lost the battle. He said, okay, that's how you want it. But the truth of the matter is that he is up to something. For him to have come with something like that, he is up to something. Let me take you back to 2005 when Obasanjo was saying that, okay, third time. He has come out to deny it. It's fine. No, he never wanted it, but you and I know the truth. Then they said it was going to be the president and governors that were going to enjoy a third time in office. But on the day they were going to take the paper to the National Assembly, it was just the president. No more third time for governors. And then, maybe printer's devil. And that was what angered a lot of governors that made them tell their National Assembly members to say, kill that thing. All of us are going,
Thank you so much for your time.
It is always an honor to be here.
All right, that's all we can take this morning. 1 till 8 o'clock, join Agbeya Wironya Agbomagbe in Yoruba language to look at stories making the round in the nation in Yoruba language. Up next is AM Sport. And the sport team is definitely set to take us through the world of sport. That's all we can take for today. We hope and pray that you have a great weekend and, of course, a safe one. Remember that drive very carefully. If you drink, do not drive. And if you drive, please do not drink. God bless you.
Please listen to this important information. The views expressed by the interviewee in this program are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wells Radio 89.3 FM or its affiliated entities. Wells Radio 89.3 FM is committed to providing a platform for diverse perspectives and opinions, and the views expressed by guests on our programs are their personal viewpoints. Wells Radio 89.3 FM does not endorse or take responsibility for the content or opinions expressed by individual interviewees and callers. Thank you.
Not just another radio station.